Hey Keith, what are you doing out at the county fair?
Are you hanging out with carnies?
Is it true you used to be a carny? Hey friends, criminal defense attorney Keith Stickley here. You might be up in the frozen Northland. I feel bad for you if you are. But I am actually currently in my happy place. I am in Riverview, Florida at the International Independent Showmen's Association clubhouse and also the Fair Trade Show. Now, what in the world is this all about, you might ask? Well, some of you might know based on other videos and things we've talked about that I've posted for years, actually since I was about 13. I was affiliated with the Carnival, circus, magic, and entertainment business. And one of the things that I do in my law practice is I represent carnivals and quite frankly, carnies. It's an underrepresented area or demographic, if you will, that oftentimes does not have legal representation when they get in trouble or have issues, be it contractual, be it criminal, whatever. And so this is what I've done for a long time. So every year in the little town of Gibsonton or Riverview, they're kind of sister cities, there's a giant trade show where industry people from all over the world come and gather. This is where they get education, they buy supplies. If you want to buy a tilt-a-whirl and you got a big briefcase of cash, this is where you can do it. And all sorts of things happen here. We're not actually at a fair. All these things you see behind me are actually they're actually for sale. And this is where the business gets conducted. And it's a huge business. There's a lot of technology involved. Oh my goodness. Hi, how you doing, buddy? And it's a heck of a lot of fun, and it's one of the weirdest, strangest trade show and commercial events you could ever actually visit, I'll tell you what. All sorts of people from all walks of life, and they're all coming here to help fuel and keep this industry going. Now, as I mentioned before, I end up representing quite a few carnival-based clients, both show owners who often have contractual issues, but also the workers, the carnival workers themselves, especially the truck drivers. You know, the carnival industry and the legal world has been a very sort of or unrepresented demographic. And it's really a challenge, and it's an exciting challenge that I like to do to represent them, because oftentimes they're sort of forgot about by the legal system, or maybe even unfairly picked on. Now, why is that? Well, they're transient, right? There's a lot of motor vehicle carriers, basically law enforcement, dedicated to keeping our roads and highways safe through regulation. They know that these carnival companies cannot come back easily to fight tickets. So when tickets are written, they don't really have a chance to fairly stand up for their rights. So a lot of times they just open the pocketbook and they pay whatever it is, and that leads to problems down the road. So one of the things, especially in my home state of Michigan, and every once in a while in the rare event that there's a federal issue, a lot of times I get involved and I represent them. I've done quite a bit of pro bono work for the carnival industry, people who have been accused of crimes. It's unfortunately quite easy to accuse a carnival worker of a crime, because they're those weird shady people who come in, just for a week, they take everybody's money and they leave. And I got to tell you, it's really a sad misnomer, because by and large these are hardworking family people. These carnival operations are often family businesses run by family. They have tons of kids on there, and the actual crime rate, when things like that happen, when they come to town, it doesn't really go up because of them. Now, sometimes you get local ruffians who like to take advantage of a situation, or they're not used to something exciting happening in their town. I would say that that's the majority of some of the trouble that gets caused. People get into fights because they see, Billy with Joe's girlfriend that he had last year, and there's a little melee at the carnival, and unfortunately that will unfairly get blamed on either the carnival or the carnies. Well, that's just because people sometimes aren't very polite or have good social manners. It has nothing to do with the carnival. A lot of times, too, people are seeing foreign workers from Mexico, Honduras, South Africa coming in, and they're wondering, oh my gosh, are there a bunch of illegal aliens working our carnival? Well, no. There's a specific kind of visa, an H-2B visa, and these are vetted, often highly talented, skilled folks that actually come in and do the work that a lot of these carnival companies can't find Americans to do. One of the unfortunate things in our education system is in high school and such, we don't really teach things like hydraulics and basic electrical knowledge that is needed to keep these big machines safe and going. So they have to bring labor in that is an educated force who's willing to work. And these folks, they send their money home, they pay their U.S. taxes, and then they go home themselves and they come back for the next season. And it actually tends to work out really, really well. And as a percentage of the population at large that they're serving, the amount of crimes committed by them is it's minuscule compared to the general population in today's town. So they're fully vetted, and there's a lot on the line. They can get deported in a whole heck of a lot of trouble if they were to engage in any kind of funny business. Now, a lot of people don't realize just how big and popular the outdoor entertainment business is, but it's a multi-billion-dollar business employing tens and tens of thousands of people, both Americans and international labor. And we deal with some of that stuff as well. This is where they all come to congregate. Now, why down here, you might think? Is this part of the Ringling thing or whatever? Actually, it's not. This town became popular in the 1950s and 60s, actually just after World War II, when a bunch of circus sideshow performers, freaks you might say, came down and settled here on the banks of the Alafaya River, and they made this their home. It's just south of the Tampa-St. Pete area. And here they were able to find cheap land in an area where they could kind of be secluded and spend their winters rebuilding their equipment and getting ready to go back out on the road. And then as soon as it got warm enough up north where the big money was, they'd hit the road and head out of town. Some of the most notable people to actually live here and work and operate businesses were Al and Jeannie Tomani. Al was the tallest man in the world. I think he was over 8 foot tall by the time he passed. And Jeannie, which was his wife of many, many years, and she was a half lady. She was only, I think, a couple of feet tall. And they operated a business here called the Giants Camp, which was sort of a fishing village and restaurant that was very, very popular, I think up until about the 1980s, when they finally closed down after their passing. The club here is absolutely huge. It's sort of, if you combine maybe a VFW hall with a hotel ballroom, and then mixed it all together with a nightclub up front, that's basically what you would have. I'll give you a little sneak preview here. They have a built-in trade show hall, probably about 50,000 or so square foot, of everybody selling everything from fast food supplies, cooking supplies, electronics, radios, everything that goes in to a moving carnival. And the cool thing about the carnival business is that a carnival is literally a moving city or a moving village full of people. So all the needs that you might think of any small city having, infrastructure, water, electricity, mechanical, food, sewage, plumbing, places for employees to stay, all of that they deal with here, and it encompasses all these different industries. So this is a really handy spot for everybody to come together and be able to conduct their business. Hey folks, so here we are inside of the International Independent Showmen's Association Museum, actually, here in Riverview, Florida. It's an absolutely amazing place. It's one of my favorite places. And this is the preservations point, the Museum of the American Carnival. And the American Carnival has a really, obviously, a rich tradition, entertaining crowds throughout our country. And this is sort of the only real museum here in America completely dedicated to those people who brought so much joy and laughter and lifted a few bucks off of a great public that needed entertainment. It's an absolutely amazing facility, as you can see behind me here. They have examples of all sorts of things. Let's see, an old Alan Herschel American Beauty carousel. This is one of my favorite displays that they have over here. This is a Condorman Ferris wheel. It was one of the first portable Ferris wheels. They have it installed in here, and it's actually slowly rotating so you can see it. It's really, really, really neat. And for those mechanically inclined folks, might notice that a lot of the rigging and everything on this Ferris wheel is made out of a gas pipe and steel joints and unions. Of course, there's all sorts of amazing artwork here at the museum. Joe Chitwood's American Racers. He used to have cars and do some crazy things like that. There's a lot of memorabilia of the Royal American shows, which at one time crisscrossed America by railroad, actually, similar to a lot of the big circuses. In fact, it was quite a bit larger than, say, Ringling Brothers or anything. They have a bunch of beautiful art. This museum actually houses their original publicity wagon, and they used this for quite some time. In fact, I'm even going to walk up in here so you guys can see it. And they really preserve everything here beautifully. You can see sort of what the office accommodations were like, and some of the photos of the people that were involved in the day-to-day operations. The whole facility here is actually open to the public, and like I said before, it's one of the only places that's absolutely dedicated to preserving this piece of Americana. It was done really big and quite a bit differently in the United States than other places around the world. Some of my favorite stuff being involved in the circus sideshow industry is some of the circus sideshow banners that they have. That's very cool. And let's see if you can get a picture of this. Prior to electricity, most of the rides on the Carnival were actually gasoline powered by little tractor motors. As you can see, they've done a good job sort of retrofitting an electric motor here to make this magnificent wheel work. Upstairs, they have even more exhibits, all sorts of really fun games and memorabilia. There's an entire library. There's some model circuses, scale model circuses that people have put together. This is one of my favorite exhibits. This thing's just crazy. This is an electrical box. This is how some of the early carnivals actually powered all their equipment. These are bars, and each leg of electricity would be hooked to one of these metal bars, and you would take these wooden apple sticks that they use for a caramel apple. You'd put the bare wire in there, and then you would cram the apple stick in there so it made a tight connection, and that's how you actually would power your rides. As you can imagine, it was a little bit on the dangerous side on a wet day. Of course, one of the most popular type of attractions at these shows was a pickled punk or a mummified baby. This is how a lot of America first learned about science, quite frankly. A lot of it was taboo and not often talked about. So these are some specimens that would have been on display in a tent, and you could, for a small fee, you could go in and see these things and learn about science. The entire museum has got some really great photographic history, and it really helps put everything in context that they were doing here. It's just an absolutely phenomenal place to come see. So if you get down here to the Gibsonton or Riverview, Florida area, you definitely want to come check out the International Independent Showman's Museum. And because, quite frankly, this is the stuff, folks, that once it's gone, it's probably gone forever. It's never coming back. And as the carnival and entertainment industry continues to modernize, all the old equipment and the history and the photographs, as a lot of times they end up just getting thrown away or lost to history. So we're not gonna be able to capture any more than has already been captured. And so if you're into this kind of thing and want to see some old vintage rides and really learn about some wonderful Americana, I highly encourage you to visit. And probably the most important thing to know is that the carnival business is not just a family entertainment business, but it truly is a family business. Most of the people engaged in this come from multi-generations of people who have been crisscrossing the country and providing entertainment. And their sons and their daughters and their in-laws and their kids, they all get in on it. And that is what really makes this sort of also a special place. It's not just an industry trade event, but it's a place where families get together who don't get to see each other when they're on the road, but maybe distant cousins who are working for various shows. And that makes this truly a family affair. When the business is done and the lights on the Ferris wheel go on, the people all flood the couple of bars and restaurants that are here on the grounds, and they have a good time. There's tons of kids, a lot of playing, and it really is a special sort of magical place. Thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in, and we'll talk to you real soon. Stay safe.